Okay.
Oh,
Well, I guess we're live.
really?
I thought it was going to give me a title to put and stuff.
Oh my God, goodness, we are live.
That's
Well,
funny.
hello everyone.
Here we go, Jesse. I
Okay.
guess we're doing it. Let's go for it. Whatever you think.
All
We're
right.
we're trying this out. We're going to go live on our different or I guess they're on my streams right now on my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. So I guess it's nice to have you here, Jesse.
Yeah, well, it's good to be here.
And we
Uh,
can see chats here. That's good. Show on the stream. Okay. Comments as we go. Okay, this is cool little setup here. As people comment, we can see it if we want on the side, or we can see it. All right. Cool. Well, all right. We're live here on Facebook, live on YouTube. And Jesse, here we go, man. Well, we happen to, I want to introduce myself. I'm Carlos. You're on my Facebook page, so you would know me or you wouldn't be here. And our YouTube channel, Carlos and Chantel. Um, and we are, you know, getting a reputation very quickly of Amish matchmakers and helping people to get married and have a successful, epic marriage. Marriage is important to us. And so, but I'm here with my dear friend and amazing leader in Single to Married, Jesse Kaufman. Jesse and Adina Kaufman lead up Single to Married. And Chantel and I lead up Epic Your Life. And we partner together to see people get married and have epic marriages, right, bro?
that's right. And that passion it goes into the kingdom message of spreading the gospel in that way, recognizing that there's babies waiting to be born, and the Muslims expand their agenda with babies. So I suppose that's a principle that just works, and it's our first order of priority in disciples is children, and then we pass our legacy on to them. And so I see so many singles out there that they're literally not fulfilling their mission, and they're just frittering their life away and protecting whatever their hangup is on moving forward. So that's where my passion comes in on that. And for you, Carlos, yeah, I am constantly scouring and gleaning the content that you and Chantel put out, whether recordings, if I can't catch a live, and then I extrapolate from there and to put it out there for singles. So
Yeah.
love the content that you put out, even if sometimes we're silently in the background, we're devouring it.
Yeah.
Still pushing play on your original Connection DNA content, finishing up on Round 23, and it's still as fresh as ever.
That's
Doesn't
pretty
get old.
awesome. That is amazing. And man, we talk about connection DNA, and the point of it is to create, a DNA of connection. What does it look like to be connected? And a connector, if you would. So, yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. It looks like it's being recorded. So this is new, all this. We got a new setup here. All right. And cool. Jesse, here we go. All right. So, hey, let's just talk a little bit, Jesse. Let's have some conversation. I think
Absolutely.
that's really cool about live stream is it's raw, it's real, it's unrehearsed, unscripted. And you and I have been talking about this, how we want to get the message out there more and let it be raw and real. And sometimes it's just about, you know, what we're working on, and I know we've been working on some strategies for helping singles for many, many years. So what do you feel like has been the best strategy for some of the clients that we've worked with, or what do you see in this process is
Oh
working?
boy. Well, just if I just follow the evidence, the breadcrumb trail of evidence, it's live and in person, boots on the ground. I'm reminded how Charlie Kirk, a man of God, shared how the reason that Charlie Kirk was as effective is because he got grass between his feet and went eyeball to eyeball, boots on the ground, and he met people in real time by the thousands. And when I heard that, I was like, that's what we need to do. So we had a singles event just this past week or two ago, and it absolutely panned out exactly that way. The relationships built there was 10 times faster in the building rapport than messaging back and forth on a computer. And so that's the biggest impact that we've felt and what really hit us in our 1 month visit up here in Indiana. So hands down, that's what I've found. Now how to navigate that with having a heavy online presence is the next thing. Is it this, or is it this, or is it a balance of both? I don't know. What do you think, Carlos?
Yeah, I think that it's a matter of more, doing more, getting our message out there and talking more. And, we're realizing that when you're live more often and you create credible content and information that people use, then more eyes will see you.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta get our message out there, and I think it's time for us to really just tell the world. And live and in person is a big deal. I agree with you. Like that's our target audience. A lot of people don't know who we work with. I've done the math, and it's almost 80% of our clientele. Is that right? 79? Was it 70? 80%, almost 80%. What was it? Are previously Anabaptist,
Yeah, I track it in our single to married community, and we're currently between 50 and 60% in single to married. But now if we go with overall, it's probably closer to 70, 75%, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I've definitely found that I can see what you're saying. A combination of both definitely is necessary, because the event that we had, every one of those are now following us closely on Facebook and YouTube, because they met us in person, and suddenly our face on the screen isn't just another face. They made a connection there. So
right.
I did have, if we can get to it, I would love to pick your brain on a few things that we found that singles get hung up on, that
Sure.
they are challenged in moving forward on. And it has to do with, I don't even know if it's necessary. Forgive me, viewers, if this sounds offensive, but our niche. For some people, we're sowing seeds and there's no expectations. It's like we're just bless you and hope you get something out of it that moves you towards your breakthrough. And then others that are ready to sink their teeth into some real stake and let's go. And then there's the in between. But the vast majority of the singles that we've met are so, how would you say it? The comfort zone is very, very addictive.
Yeah.
I'm studying the comfort zone and finding that it might be very well be the most addictive thing, right up there with hard drugs.
Yeah.
And
you're onto something for sure.
So we've met 40, 50, 60-year-olds, even 70-year-old singles, never married before. And they're just living their life, still trying to achieve the things that they think they need to achieve before they're ready to move forward into marriage. And I'm like, wait a minute. Still trying to get out of debt, still trying to overcome that pornography addiction, still trying to find that job or whatever it is. And life is like the sun is starting to set. And so I wonder, what would you speak into that? How can we inspire and motivate those to recognize that they can be more?
Yeah, it's crazy, as we've worked with so many over the years, and thanks to you, Jesse, we've really got dialed in with the Amish. Your background being Amish and coming from that culture, it spreads like wildfire. You've really helped us in our reputation of helping people to get married quickly. Your personal story being so incredible, and so we created through this process a 12-week guarantee. We used to call it 90 days, and then we said, well, let's work on 12 weeks because it's what we do. It's 12-week year. And we've noticed how people, we've helped people get results in 12 weeks. So it's been a fascinating process together, but we've helped a lot of people over the last 5 years working together. And we need to get that number, by the way. We're going to get more specific.
How many we've helped so far or worked
Yeah.
with?
I mean, how many we've helped get married or engaged, and then they get married or.
Yeah, boy, it really, I mean, how far out, because there's like our inner circle
Right.
Of people that we've worked the closest with.
Yeah.
All the way up to and including officiating their wedding.
Right.
Step by step.
Yep.
I'd say that's well within 100, I'm guessing. But when you go into those people that, where they floated through and got, were heavily influenced, and then they got married kind of went on and
right.
Thing. And then we have people on the third outer circle that, they were flies on the wall, the silent flowers on the wall,
yep.
so to speak, on our single to married webinars. They never interacted, they never engaged, never liked or commented, nothing. It was like, why are they here? I don't know.
Right.
And then 6 months later or a year later, I see on their Facebook post they're married. I'm like, oh, congratulations on getting married. And then they message back and say, yeah, thanks to you and that single to married webinar you did a year ago. I picked up some nuggets that I started applying, and next thing I know, I'm in a relationship and we're doing great. I'm like,
right.
Hallelujah. So how many of those are out there? It could be in the thousands. I have no idea.
Yeah, we should try to get that number. We really should. So like if you're watching this and we impacted you at all in your marriage, maybe you were single and then you saw some of our nuggets working with you. We'd love to learn that. I know we don't collect that information enough, Jesse, but what we need to do is those that we directly worked with, right, that we mentored in some way or another, this is a really good, easy one to track. They paid us for something, whether it was a webinar, a mentorship, like they hired us to help them in some way or another. There's different levels in that, right, category and how much they're involved, or single or married group now that you have, which is, again, Epic Your Life it's a branch of what we do and all of our content there. And it's been amazing the way you guys have made it work and applied to singles and seeing the results over and over and over again. We know in the last 2 years, even, I would say we've had 10 weddings, something like that in the last 2 years.
I would say at least
that we were directly helping with. And man, so the last 5 years, if we were saying directly involved with and mentored in some way, I bet it's probably 30 or 40. It would be awesome to find out those numbers.
That would be the inner circle, the ones that we walk the closest alongside.
Yeah, exactly. And interesting, in the last 5 years, think about that, 30 to 40 couples. I know there's even children that have been born because of what we've done. And man, that blesses me. One of probably the greatest honors I ever had, and Chantel and I have experienced is 2 people, 2 different families that we influence and impact so much that they name their kid after me. And I'm like, it's kind of an interesting thing, but it's one of the highest honors I think you can get. To me, that it was crazy to have that. And so anyways, that's just, again, we helped them in their relationship skills and their to get married, impacted and influenced and helped them get engaged. And that's where the 12-week engagement came in, that we can help someone get engaged in less than 12 weeks. So with that said, what have we found? Like, we've helped lots of people through this process. Like you said, we've done webinars, we've done videos, we've done mentorships, thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. We're working on gathering that data, by the way, because I think it's important to know that, hey, we might know what we're talking about because we've helped a few people, and it's funny because what the way Chantel and I work, and I know you and Irina are the same, we just think and put our head down, right? We work. And then all of a sudden we look up and we're like, oh, wait, how many people have gotten married? How many people have gotten engaged? How many people have we helped? I don't know. So we've got to get better at that. And we will. But it is a lot. It is a lot of people in the last 5 years. It really is, to think that Chantel and I entered into a culture that we actually didn't come from, don't know really much about, and you've taught us so much. And then through us just getting to know the Amish and the Mennonite culture has been a phenomenal journey, and I'm excited for the potential for Amish Matchmaker to come out, an actual series that they're some networks are talking about picking up about us. So it's been a good journey, man.
Yeah.
We'll see if that comes to
Well,
pass.
I remember back in the day when I was single as a Pringle with no options and no idea how to move forward. I was desperate. I was like, I sold out in a plea to God, like, hit me. What do I need to do? And I even said I'll sell everything I have, move to China if that's what it takes. And prior to that, I had even attempted a relationship with somebody in India that a missionary friend of mine confirmed is legit. It's not a fraud. She's for real. Comes from good stock and good family. But then another Amish guy swooped in and flew over there and proposed on the spot, Indian style. So that didn't work out. And then 2 years later, I was again cycled back. I've got to do something. Wow. Something's got to change. And that's where I bumped into you, Carlos. And literally, I had done a significant amount of personal growth and development, but it wasn't translating into the results that I wanted. Yeah. So I had a lot of head knowledge, but I didn't know how to apply it. I was just disorganized. And when I think back to what you did, Carlos, that helped me the most is you just poked me in the right time to do this, now do that. And then I just go do it and figure it out on the way and ask questions here and there if, I wasn't sure about something. And next thing I know, I'm married. Sounds oversimplistic, but it really was that simple. But in the middle of it, it didn't feel simple. It was scary and sometimes hard. But I was determined. I'm just like, I don't have anything to lose. What's the worst that could happen? And I go broke and I'm still single. Well, what's new,
Yeah, it's funny because it's it's the practical application. As we were talking about this, your question now going back to that is really the reality of what happens to singles is they're addicted to it. Like you said, they're caught up in their habits. It becomes a way of life. It's
and here's the part that I just now thought of, how our comfort zone and how we do our life is so integrated with our identity or our sense of identity. And I think that's the number one thing we have to tackle is everything about singles' lives, myself included back in those days, is immersed or embedded, I don't know how to say it, with their identity. And so anything that's challenged about how they're doing things or the mindset feels personal. And it requires a tremendous amount of humility to recognize, you know what, I'm screwed up. I need to do something different here. And not everybody's ready for that. We don't judge. It's just everybody's on a journey and they get to choose. But at the same time,
very true.
How do you address that with, push them just enough to out of their comfort zone but not too much to lose them, is that push pull. How do you discern that sometimes? Or you just go for it and let the chips fall where they may?
Well, there's definitely a design or a strategy to it for sure. It is interesting when you look at these things and we start to see it's so connected to confidence, right, Jesse? We will keep doing what we feel confident in. And we have found that, especially with the culture, when you look at the background from the culture, the Amish culture, so much is attached to work ethics. So much is attached to, even if you would, almost like an arranged marriage, because you're going to marry within your culture. And, so then we see that, it's really confident in that, but, you've taken them out of that scenario of, we're only going to marry within the culture, or you take them out of the scenario of like, okay, well, I'm not buggy Amish anymore. I'm no longer doing the buggy way. I'm actually getting into some technology. I'm now
But the Amish is still inside.
That's right. And you're birthed into that. And so it's like, that's all you know is there's the system that's there, right? And so now you unplug from that system, the buggy Amish system, if you would, and then all of a sudden your confidence just is shot, and you want to be confident, but you don't even know how to talk to the opposite sex in a way that would lead to connection. You don't, and therefore your confidence is shot, so you don't communicate appropriately that would lead to connection and a love and affection, ultimately, and intimacy that could lead to then being committed. So we have found that it really takes that confidence, communication, commitment. We call it the 3 C's of connection, or the 3 C's of intimacy, or the 3 C's of love. And you and I have unpacked this so much with so many people we've worked with. And again, because almost 80% of our clientele being, of the Anabaptist, the Amish and Mennonite culture, it's like we see this, and it's just mind-boggling how it is so connected to the fact that in that culture too, let's talk about love languages, because this helps clarify. People around the globe, everyone knows about love languages, and the two love languages that the Anabaptist and Amish Mennonite culture have mastered is acts of service and gifts. They're so good at those two. Let's all get together and go build a barn, right? Somebody's barn burned down. So we're going to go spend the weekend and get everything ready and spend the weekend. And everybody in the community is going to come together and build a barn. That's acts of service. We've talked to many of the men that will say, hey, well, I started mowing this gal's lawn. This is a real true story. And I mowed her lawn every week. And you know what? I think she knows that I love her. And I'm like, okay, how many conversations have you had with her? None. I love her. I'm doing acts of service. Okay. How's that working for you? Well, I think she's got a boyfriend now. It's like, yeah, you think? You know what I mean? And again, that's the love language they're used to. And so then we go to gifts. It's like, seriously, I think every Amish person I've ever been around would feed you or bring a meal if you needed it, would give you something to help you, right? If you need a helping hand, they're going to give you some sort of gift to bless you. Like, that's what they know. That's the culture. Hey, we make sure our children are taken care of. We feed our kids. We make sure that roof over their head. And hey, if you need a good meal, I'll be glad to feed you. Like, that's just a understood way of loving people well. Too. Well, challenge is, those two if within the culture will probably get you married. Obviously we see a lot of
it does within the culture, but it doesn't work so well out and about once you're out.
And that's right. That's what we deal with, is people that are now still Amish, but exploring possibly marrying outside their culture, or maybe they're no longer buggy Amish. They're just, or buggy Mennonite. They're now more with technology and getting more involved into what they call the English world. And now all of a sudden they're faced with the culture of the English, trying to mix and blend with that. Well, and by the way, to have a successful marriage and relationships, which is what you were looking for. You didn't want any marriage. You didn't want let's be real, the shallow marriage that it creates, just having those two love languages. Hey, I'll do acts of service for you, and I'll be sure to also bring you gifts and make sure you're provided for, right? Like, but there's 3 other ones. Right? There's quality time, love and affection, touch through touching, and then there's also the words of affirmation. Should I say it all? Words of affirmation, connection, touch, and quality time. There we go. That's the other 3. Words of affirmation, quality time, and touch. Love and affection through touch. Like, and in the Amish culture, that's like, what is quality time? Well, isn't that me just sitting next to you and not talking to you, but just sitting near you? Or mowing your lawn? Isn't that quality time? What does it look like to even like it's serious. It would be a great poll to have. Like, let's have, you know, if we could get a paper poll to the Amish that are not plugged into technology and ask them, what does quality time look like? Please describe it. What does words of affirmation look like? And what does that mean? If that's a love language and they've proven that it's a necessary love language that people have.
I would probably present that at least in the cultures that are more progressive or more like my community, they're fairly open compared to a lot of the more conservative ones. Quality time is talked about and encouraged. And like Dad, for example, he would frequently take us boys fishing, and we'd hang out and just fish for the day. And
That's
that was
right.
quality time for us,
Exactly.
But it was always centered around an activity, of course. But aside from that, most of the quality time was centered around work.
Right. Well, and again, that's why I said it's important to define what it looks like.
Exactly. And that's what I was just going to.
And, this would probably be great. I know you're doing the singles events. It'd be a great thing to ask them, to make them aware of what quality time looks like to them. What do they know quality time as? What do they know is as words of affirmation? What does that look like, and how do you do it? And third thing is, what does touch look like? Again, it's really fascinating to be able to study this and see what that looks like.
I'm making some notes because for those that are listening, we're actually planning, if everything works out, we're going to have another live singles event this upcoming Sunday afternoon.
That's gonna be
and
awesome.
I haven't determined the location, but it's probably going to be in the general Michiana area, Goshen, Middlebury, Shipshewana somewhere. And you don't have to be a part of our single to married community online to come. You can come, and we're not going to put any expectations on you except to have fun and enjoy, learn, take notes. So I'm just putting that plug out there.
Yeah.
So,
what does physical touch look like? What does words of affirmation look like, sound like? What does quality time look like and sound like? What would you be doing? Because it's a very fascinating, those three things. I imagine if I asked you prior to working with you, it would be very different to than now, what you would describe.
Well, I know that even back when I was Amish, I identified physical touch as my pick. But it's probably because I craved that one the most, because it was almost absent.
Yeah, wasn't there. I mean, that's why I say, how would you define it? And then does that take place? Did that take place for you growing up?
I would have defined it as a hug, and it did take place, but very rarely. Usually when the situation was tight enough to where, like Dad would apologize.
Right.
Which was only a couple times in my life that Dad really humbled himself and apologized and gave me a hug as an adult. It was very rare, but it did happen occasionally. As children, we grew up with love hugs and kisses until we chose to pull away. But as long as we didn't pull away, Mom and Dad were always available for hugs and kisses. So we grew up with that. Can't say that every Amish person can relate to that. There's a lot that can't. They don't even have a grid for that. So maybe I'm an anomaly. I don't know. But one thing I can say is that our community is definitely the Amish that I've been hanging out with. They're opening up more to the reality of the need for physical touch. And we've actually noticed a higher percentage of Amish people that we meet are more open to hugs. Like even my grandma, she's 80 years old, extremely old school. And she does hugs now. My mom, she has this revelation of like, we need to have more hugs in the Amish. And so Mom is just made a decision. You know what? She's going to hug everyone that lets her hug, allows her to hug them. That's Amish. And between her and Irina, they got a grandma to do this when they meet. But yeah, by and large, it is very, very much a deficiency of physical.
Well, and I mean, I can feel the awkwardness just going in if you go into a home that's Amish and you try to hug the wife if you're a man, or you try to hug the man if you're a wife. Like it's like,
well, it's seen as too intimate for anybody really to see. That should be done behind closed doors. That's the consensus generally.
well, and again, this is interesting because we got into this whole thing talking about touch, and you bring up hug. And again, if that's all it was, like, that's why you weren't married. I mean, there's a lot more to touch than that. You know, there's holding hands, there's rubbing the shoulders, there's putting your hand on the leg, you know, again, showing love and affection and touch and intimacy. Again, if you're dating someone, trying to build a relationship, you want to touch more and feel them more because you're courting them. You're letting them know you like to touch them. You like love and affection and touch. And what's interesting about the 5 love languages that I think gets lost and people want to just say, well, 2 is good. No, I believe if you want the holistic, if you want epic, you're going to go and give 5 and receive 5. Like that's holistic. That's a beautiful, epic marriage. So
my wife Irina must be tuning in. She just messaged me that says, "Grandma is 90, not 80." All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, love.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
You should have posted that so we could test this new thing and see if it showed up on the messenger. We got the new thing here. But
I'm curious, Carlos, not that it matters for our viewers, but do we have a chat that our viewers are able to engage with us here?
Yeah. So again, when it's just like any other live video, you can comment and we'll see it. Whether it's on Facebook or I don't know about YouTube. Right now we're on Facebook and YouTube both. We're looking to get on TikTok too. But yeah, we're streaming live and we want to do some more of this. Like just jump on here and talk about relationship. And so I hope this was helpful. Unfortunately, we're out of time. I've got another appointment I've got to jump to. But again, we're gonna figure this out, Jesse. We're gonna figure out times that we can come and go live and
I would love to do this more.
What's that?
I would love to do this more for sure.
Yeah. I mean, again, we can have discussions. Hopefully we can set some times potentially to just have discussions and be live and talk about what we've done and what we're doing and talk about mainly what's worked. Mm-hmm. What we know is creating epic. You know, we had a call last night with the men and we talked about flirting. I guarantee that men don't have a really good pulse on what flirting is and how to do it.
Honestly, I need to brush up on that. So maybe on the next live stream, I can pick your brain on that.
There we go. I'll tell you, if you're married, the more you flirt, the more sex you're going to have.
So how about we just put a plug in for the next live stream? We're going to talk about flirting.
We need to, for sure.
I'm going to put a vote in for that one.
All right, brother. Well, thanks, Jesse, for jumping on here. We're testing this out. We're going to do it. We're going to do it, though. We're going to be figuring out what times and make it happen. And, you know, we'll go live on Facebook. We'll go live on TikTok. We'll go live on our YouTube. And we'll just keep growing and keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, God bless you.
Awesome.
See you, bro. Thanks, those of you tuning in live with us. Thanks for being here. It's a test. We're going to do more of this. And
let us know if it worked.
Yeah, really. Exactly. Let us know. And we're going to have our wives here. They're much better looking and much. They bring more attention to this lively bunch.
Right. Can't have all beards, right?
That's right. All right, brother. God bless you.